Hi guys, I'm Charlie from Vamos Gaming Systems, looking for the best PC price deals so you don't have to. So I finally have an update for GPU price deals in Singapore for July 2025. And obviously there are a few new releases like the 5050s have came out, 5060s. I believe the 5060s came out in the month of June. I already have a pricing update for that. But for this month is more on the 5050s. And then there are more 9060 XTs in the market as well. And before we proceed, maybe as we look at the list, we just want to see what the general trend of the prices is. Is it getting cheaper or is it getting more expensive? If you look at all the way from March, how we can compare is you can look at the numbers here of percentage over MSRP, or we can look at cost per frame. So percentage over MSRP and cost per frame, the lower it is, the better it is for us consumers. That means the cheaper it is. So looking at March, percentage of MSRP, and you can see from March to April, there is a decrease, like for the 5090s actually decrease as well. And then from April going down to, I believe, what is this? May, I don't have an update for May. From April going down to all the way to June, the numbers have reduced. It become smaller. So I would say the prices are going down. You can see that 5090s are now have gone as low as 17% over MSRP, from 71% over MSRP in April, or 89 over MSRP back in March when they were launched. Then if you look at 5080s, yep, the percentage over MSRP has been steadily decreasing as well, from 47 to 18 down to 11, and now we're back at 18 over MSRP. Is this correct? Yeah, yes. Then what else we have? So 5070 Ti's used to be like 29%, 19, dropped to 17, and now back down to 9%. And then we also, if we look at the AMD cards, how about the AMD cards 9070 XTs? So launch price was about 19 over MSRP, jumped up to 21% over MSRP for the month of April. For the month of June, down to 13%. And then now is only 10% over MSRP. So general prices have been going down. And if you look at some of these percentages, we actually have cards at MSRP now, especially the Nvidia cards. Some are even 99.9% or 99% over MSRP. Sorry, 99% of the MSRP means they're officially below MSRP. So now we can actually find 5070s, 5060 Ti, 8GB below MSRP or at MSRP, but obviously I don't recommend anyone buy the 8GB cards. And yep, so it's quite interesting, and yep, let's get into it. So first off, we start with the 5050s. Let's zoom in a bit. So 5050s, the cheapest I can find is actually Tech Deals. It has 300 for 5050 8GB for about $369. So that is only a 6% over its official MSRP price, which after multiplying the exchange rate from USD to SGD and adding a 9% GST should be about 350 Sing dollars. So the cheapest we have is 369 from Tech Deals, the shop called Tech Deals at level 4 in Sim Lim Square. And actually Tech Deals, through my research, it actually does have quite a fair amount of cheap GPUs, like the cheapest GPUs among Simlim. The next competitor will be Dynacore, of the cheapest GPUs in Simlim. And yeah, it lives up to its name for at least GPUs. Then that's about it. So other notable shoutouts would be that obviously the TechYard.com has 5050 selling at $370, only $1 more. And even Amazon or Newegg actually has it really cheap, $365. But I didn't highlight that because in Newegg, there's Newegg.com, there is a hefty shipping price. So I mean, if there's some way you can waive the shipping price, then it's considered worth it. But if not, the shipping price is from like 50 to 70 SGD. So it's generally not worth it to buy from Newegg. But I've included the prices here for reference as well. Yep, so that is that. But 5050 is generally an 8GB card, and at this price actually is not too bad. Because if you are thinking of like building a budget system for like 1000 SGD or less, you don't have a lot of budget for the GPU. So yeah, if you see our B580, cheapest B580 I can find from Laser Distributor is only at it's also at 399. So that's above the price of a 5050. And the B580 is not guaranteed to be in stock as well, because I think Laser's price list is not the most updated one. And if other than that, I think other areas would be like Carousell. You can probably find some used B580s from Carousell, but those are used, not brand new. So if you're looking at the real budget card, the 5050 does look pretty interesting, but the 8 GB, no, lack of VRAM at 8 GB is really a big issue. It's not suitable for playing modern AAA titles. You can only play some esport titles or older titles that doesn't use up all the VRAM. Any recent titles from 2025, especially things like Monster Hunter, WoWs and all that, takes up lots of VRAM, so it wouldn't be able to run it very well. Okay, so that's 5050. Moving on to 5060. So just a slight upgrade. Also suffers from 8 GB of VRAM. So for new buyers, I really don't recommend this. But the techyard.com has the cheapest 5060 8 GB at 425 Sing dollars. Other notable shoutouts would be at Tech Deals and Dynacore. They have pretty cheap 5060s at Laser Distributor, pretty cheap as well. And Newegg also has a pretty cheap, but same again, it has a hefty shipping cost. Then moving on, 5060 Ti's, we're still on the 8 GB cards. The cheapest I can find is from the techyard.com at 525. Technically, this is officially below MSRP for 5060 Ti 8 GB. But then again, the 8 GB cards are plagued with lack of VRAM, so not really suitable for most of the game titles and modern game titles. So even though it's at MSRP, I don't really recommend this card. And what I'll recommend instead is the 5060 Ti 16 GB. So the first 16 GB card that we have from Nvidia 5060 Ti 16 GB, the MSRP price after conversion is about 600, and the cheapest I can find is again from the techyard.com at $615. This is only 2% above MSRP, and the cost per frame is at about $10, 9.98 per cost per frame. So this is in SGD, by the way. So it's a pretty good deal. So overall, I mean, if you notice a general trend in my spreadsheet, it's like the techyard.com has proven to have the cheapest GPU deals in Singapore for a majority of the modern GPUs. If you are not comfortable buying online from the techyard.com, or you don't like the GPUs that's actually featured there, the cheapest ones, obviously you can look through SimLim. There are quite a few. I mean, many of the models are available in SimLim shops. I would say Tech Deals have really many of the GPUs. They are very low price. I think the lowest price in SimLim is from Tech Deals. And then otherwise, you can go to Dynacore as well, because Dynacore also have a lot of models that are very cheaply priced. I myself bought an XFX Swift white version, the 9070 XT from Dynacore, because I think that white version, the Swift, was the cheapest priced model among all the other Swift models in SimLim Square. So Dynacore has it priced the cheapest. Yep. So that's that. So this 16 GB one, yeah, 615. So that's a pretty good deal if you're looking for an entry into how should I say, a mid-range gaming card, because 5060 Ti generally is the beginning of the mid-range card. 16 GB card at 615, I would say it's pretty decent, but obviously I would recommend the 9060 XT instead for about $100 cheaper but similar performance. So we'll move to that later. So moving on, the next Nvidia card up the stack is 5070 12 GB card. So there's a downgrade in VRAM from the Ti 16 GB down to 12 GB. The cheapest I can find, 5070, is actually also at the techyard.com at $760. Oh, by the way, I didn't verify these deals. Moving back, 5050. So where can you find it? Tech Deals. Yeah, I'm supposed to show it. So Tech Deals, this is Tech Deals price list, right? So just to show you guys that you can actually legitimately find these deals on the price list. 5050. Is it this one? 395? No, 369. Where is the 369? 5050. Yep, this one. So from Zotac Gaming, so the 5050 Twin H 8 gig OC 8 GB price at 369. So this is Tech Deals price list. Then at the techyard.com, so let me go to that. Yeah, this is this one. So RTX 5050. Oh no, we are searching for what? 5060. Okay. RTX 5060. Okay, what was the cheapest price 5060 that we have? 425. Let's look for this 5060 Ti. 525 485. Oh, 415 actually. Am I right? Wait. Let me bring it up. 5060, yeah. Yeah, 8 GB card actually is at 415. So it's even cheaper. 415, not 425. Yep. So the Taya.com has the Palette RTX 5060 at 415, 8 GB card. So that's the cheapest that we can find. And moving down the stack, again, a 5060 Ti 8 GB. So let's search it up. 8 GB. The cheapest on my list here is at 529, and we have it again, a Palette GeForce 5060 Ti, dual 8 GB GPU. So from the techyard.com, price at 529. Then at 5060 Ti 16 GB. So let's search it up. Where's my list? So you can just type it in the search bar on the website. What's the cheapest one we can find? It's at 615, and you can see another Palette, GeForce 5060 Ti Infinity 16 GB GPU from thetechart.com, priced at $615, 615. Then next one is 5070. So again, 5070 at thetechart.com. So if we search RTX 5070, yep. So again, a Palette card. So Palette GeForce 5070 Infinity 3, 12 GB GPU, cheapest price at 760 SGD. Yep, so that's the cheapest 5070 that we have. And then moving on to the 5070 Ti 16 GB card. Yeah, not the first 16 GB, but I would say this is truly the mid-range, mid to close to high-end. I would say high-end will be probably 5080 and 5090s. So the cheapest I can find is actually 1148 from TechDeals, and at this price, it is only, yep, it's only 9% above its official MSRP price. So it's a pretty good deal actually, like 10% above MSRP. And if we look at how we can find it, so let's look at TechDeals price list. 50. Let's see whether we can find it. Yep, so it's under here. You will see MSI. So MSI RTX 5070 Ti 16 GB Shadow 3X OC at 1148. Yep, so that's the cheapest 5070 Ti that we can find in Singapore. And then moving on to 5080, so cheapest one is from PC Teams at $1,660. At this price, it is still about 18% above MSRP. Actually, in the previous month of June, TechDeals had a cheaper 5080, but I think it is sold out. So it's no longer been listed at TechDeals. I cannot find it in the price list. So the next cheapest one is from PC Teams. And if you look at PC Teams price list, let's look for the 5080. So it's this one under its MSI category. So MSI RTX 5080 Shadow 3X OC 16 GB, priced at $1,660. So that will be the cheapest 5080 that I can find in Singapore. Brand new, of course. So used will be a different thing. Then cheapest 5090s. 5090s have been coming down in price. The cheapest one I can find is also at thetechyard.com. So let's at $3,250. So at this price, it is only 16% above its official MSRP price. Obviously, the cost per frame is still pretty high at $22 per frame, but this is the best of the best GPU that you can find with 32 gigabytes of VRAM. If you're doing any AI work at home, you have an AI home lab or even a professional lab. Let's say I think the 5090 is the way to go. It is still cheaper than the RTX 6000 which costs about I think 10,000 USD or something crazy like that. So $3,250. This is the cheapest 5090 compared to the previous months. The month of June, we at Dynacall we have a 5090 that was only 17% above MSRP, and actually Dynacall still has the cheap ones at 3289. So it's just a few dollars more. So then if you compare the month of April though, the month of April, it is 71% above MSRP. Those were the cheapest 5090s I could find. And during the launch price in March, all the 5090s were back up in the 5,000 range. It was 89% above MSRP. So I would say the 5090s have really started to drop in price. Probably there's more supply of the 5090s coming into the Singapore market, and there's actually not a lot of demand because obviously gamers don't want to spend so much money just to game, right? So the people who are buying 5090s are probably people using for production work or in AI workloads, and it is not a lot. And yeah, so we have more supply of 5090s that we can get rid of. So it is dropping in price, which is good if you're hunting for 5090s. So let's take a look at the website there. So let's look for 5090 on the website, detectyard.com. So again, a palette card, palette GeForce RTX 5090, Gaming Rock 32GB GPU, priced at $3,250, 3250. So that is the cheapest 5090 that we can find. If you, for any reason this sells out, there are still cheap 5090s from Dynacall as well as Tech Deals. So yeah, you can get those at about $3,300. Okay, moving on to Team Red AMD cards. So the 9060 XT 8GB is actually not recommended because same at 8GB it also runs into VRAM issues. Cannot play a lot of the modern games at like high settings, or it cannot actually run ray tracing because once it runs ray tracing, it runs out of VRAM. So the cheapest I can find is also at detectyard.com at $445. I don't really recommend this card, but let's just search it up and see whether the deal is still there. This is 8GB. Alright, so 9060 XT Reaper 8GB GPU priced at $445. So that's the cheapest 9060 XT 8GB that I can find. Okay, moving on. So 9060 XT 16GB. So this is the card that I'll be recommending over the 5060 Ti 16GB. So the lowest price I can find is from Dynacall at $525, but the techyard.com also has models listed at $525. So first, let's just double check the listing. If we go to Dynacall's price list around here, let's look for 9060 XT 16GB. So it's here. Power color in the Radeon Reaper 9060 XT 16GB twin fan, price at $525. Fun fact about the Reaper models, I recently watched a video from Hardware Unbox, which is our big tech YouTubers from down under in Australia, and he mentioned that he did speak with the representatives from Power Color, and Power Color told him that they are no longer manufacturing the Reaper models. Because actually the Reaper models, you can see there's a recurring trend that it is the cheapest AMD cards that we can get. But yeah, so according to Hardware Unbox, Steve from Hardware Unbox, and his interview and his his connections with Power Color, they're saying that they no longer manufacture Reaper models. So if you're looking for cheap like 9060 XTs, 9070 XTs, and if you're looking for the Power Color Reaper model, I will say buy them while stocks last. But I think there is actually quite a fair supply of Reaper models available in Singapore, and honestly, I'm not saying that you need to be in rush to get them, because the competitor models like from Power Color itself, from Sapphire, from XFX, and so on, they are also very competitively priced. So maybe like $20-$30 more, so it's not really that big a deal if the Reaper model sells out. You can just get other models at similarly low price. So okay, so that is the one from Dynacall, the Reaper model. Wait, at price at $525. Okay, moving on to 9070. So the 9070 is another 16GB card, so it performs in between the 9060 XT 16GB and the 9070 XT. It performs actually much better than the 9060 XT. The cheapest I can find it is priced at $870 from the techya.com. So at this price, it is 13% above its MSRP price. But you can see earlier you can see the numbers here, right? Like if you're talking about cost per frame, this is why I'm recommending the 9060 XT 16GB, because the cost per frame is the lowest among all the GPUs here at 8.75. It is lower than the 5060 Ti 16GB price at like the cost per frame is 9.98, because both of them 5060 Ti 16GB as well as 9060 Ti 16GB performs about the same, but it's the AMD card is $100 less. So yeah, for mid-range systems, I recommend 9060 XT 16GB. And if you want to go slightly higher, if you have a little bit more budget, you can consider 9070 or even better, the 9070 XTs. So the techya.com has it at 870, and let's verify that. So let's search for 9070. Yep. So a Gigabyte Radeon 9070 X. No, this is the XT actually. Yeah. Where is the non-XT? So Power Color Radeon 9070 XT Reaper model. Again, the cheapest model available from Power Color, priced at 870 SGD, and that is the model that we have here, the cheapest in Singapore. So moving on, 9070 XT, so it already appears in the search results. The Gigabyte Radeon 9070 XT Gaming OC, 16GB GPU, priced at 925 Sing dollars, also from the techya.com. So there's the cheapest 9070 XT I can find. But if somehow for those sell out, like they sell for whatever reason, you can still find a relatively low price 9070 XTs from Dynacore, priced at 985, or from Tech Deals, priced at 988. But take note that this is about a $60 price difference. So at 925, this is really the best 9070 XT deal that I can find in Singapore. And then if you are going for the Reaper version, for whatever, like you prefer Power Color over Gigabyte for whatever reason, you can get it for 939, also relatively cheap. And even if you don't want that, if you get the ASRock Radeon Steel Legend Dark version, the black version, at 945. So you can see that all three of these 9070 XTs are priced lower than the 9070 XTs priced from sold by Simlim shops. So it's really good deals for the 9070 XTs at the techya.com. Okay, so the last but not least, we have our Intel Arc B580. Laser Distributor has the cheapest one, priced at $399, and at this price is 14% over its MSRP. But let's take a look and verify that. So Laser Distributor, they have it listed here at $399. But my issue with Laser Distributor is that I've bought items from the shop quite a few times, and honestly their price list is not very updated. The couple, like the man who is running the shop, is getting on in his years, and he actually doesn't bring in a lot of stock all the time. He has a well-balanced amount of parts, but he doesn't hire any additional workers and all that. He's just running between himself and his wife. So it's a small operation, small shop, and he doesn't bring in that much stock. So when his stock actually sells out, he also doesn't really update his price list a lot. So there's a very high chance that the B580s are actually sold out from Laser Distributor, but they are still on the price list. So if those sell out, the alternative options are to get it from Lazada at 419, or you can try get it from Carousell, get it from a second-hand market at $390. That's the cheapest I can find it. But obviously you get from Carousell, then there's a chance that there's no warranty there. Yep, but honestly, I'm not recommending the B580, because I mean at $399 it is cheap, but if you can afford a little bit more, right? Like we consider this to be $400, so the B580 is $400. If you can afford about $125 more, you will be getting a pretty big upgrade when you upgrade to the 9060 XT 16GB, because the rasterization performance is better, ray tracing performance is better, the VRAM is 4GB more. So definitely, if you're building any like system now, as long as you have the budget to spend about $525 on a GPU for on the low end or the mid range, I would recommend the 9060 XT 16GB. If not, well, the Nvidia 5050 is an option if you're really strapped for cash. But yeah, the 8 GB card it performs terribly in many modern games. But yeah, I mean, really strapped for cash, yeah, you can actually consider the Nvidia 5050. Okay, so that's about it for the month of July, for GPU pricing month of July for Singapore. So these are the cheapest brand new GPUs I could find in Singapore. And if you like to have access to all these spreadsheets, the spreadsheet that I'm looking at, just go to our website at www.vamosgamingsys, that is SYS at the back.com, and you can have access to all the spreadsheets. And yep, so I'll do my best to update the other spreadsheets when I have the time. But other than GPU, actually, the other parts are not as volatile. So even if the price lists are not, the spreadsheets are not super updated, let's say they can be from April and so on, but many of the prices are still relevant. For example, power supply prices actually do not fluctuate a lot. CPU prices actually don't really fluctuate that much. What else? Accessories definitely don't fluctuate that much. PC case prices also don't really fluctuate that much. Sometimes they stay the same even for like 2 to 3 years. Other things that are not really that variable. I would say RAM might be a little bit more volatile, but recently RAM prices have not fluctuated that much. The last I noticed, but I have to do an update and do an in-depth research on what are the cheapest RAM prices for Singapore as well. All right, and that's about it for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one.